27, rational expressions. So rational expressions, you guys, just means fractions that have variables in the denominator. All right, so we're just dealing with fractions that have some variables in the denominator. So when we add fractions, like back in elementary school, what do we have to add fractions? We have to have a common denominator, okay? Have to have a common denominator. So this counts as a whole term when there's a plus sign, all right? That's a whole separate term. So there's really not a common x, because x plus a is a different term than x times a. That would be different, all right? So what's missing from this whole first fraction is actually this whole binomial right here, all right? So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom of the first fraction by x plus a over x plus a. All right, because I'm really multiplying by 1, so I'm not changing the value of the fraction. And then the second fraction is missing this x. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by x. So x over x on the second fraction. Okay, now in order to add them, we first have to multiply. So the first fraction, I have 4 times this binomial, which means we're going to distribute this to this and this to this. So 4 times x is 4x plus 4 times a is 4a. And I'm going to go ahead and then put plus 6x and pay attention to this sign always. Okay, so plus 6x. And that's going to all be over my common denominator, which is x times x plus a. You only have to write the common denominator once, just like when you're doing normal fractions. All right, and then we, of course, can add like terms in the numerator. So those x's can add together. We've got the 4x plus the 6x. And that gives me 10x. And then I still have plus 4a all over my common denominator. And we're done. So let's try another one. Go ahead and write this one down. We have m plus 3 over m plus 4 plus 5 plus 2 over m squared. So I would first probably put this 5 over 1 so that we can look at what is in each denominator. Okay. So m plus 4 counts as one whole term. All right, that's a whole separate term. So what's missing from the first fraction that the other ones might have? M squared. So I'm going to multiply the first one by m squared over m squared. And if you have some kind of addition or subtraction sign here, you want to add parentheses because you're going to have to distribute that. Hello. Okay, and the middle fraction is actually missing everything, right? The middle fraction only has a 1. So we need the m squared and we need the m plus 4. So in the middle, I'm going to write as small as possible because there's not a lot of room. M squared, m plus 4. And then on the top, m squared, m plus 4. Okay? You do need to show common denominators, what you're multiplying everything by on these problems. Okay, I know some of you guys can do this in your head. And then the last fraction, what's missing? What should I multiply that by? Chloe? Yep. M plus 4 over m plus 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute, okay, make one big line of terms in the numerator and put it all over the common denominator. So, Anna, what do I get for this first part when I distribute here? Okay, m cubed, good, plus 3m squared. Okay, awesome. And Bailey, what do I get in the middle here? And we're actually going to distribute a 5m squared to each of these. So what do you get? Good job. And this last part, Stephen, what do I get when I distribute? By the way, this sign is important. I should have circled that there. We're distributing a plus 2. So what do I get, Stephen, when I distribute that? plus 2m plus 8. Okay, and this is all over my common denominator, which is m squared times m plus 4. Okay. Now we look for like terms in the numerator. So I've got an m cubed plus a 5m cubed. So that's 6m cubed. And then I've got a 3m squared and a 20m squared. Those add together, so that's 23m squared. Then I have a 2m plus 8. No like terms there. Put it all over my common denominator. Okay, and we're good to go. Yep, Ethan? I would always put it in descending order by exponent. That's normal, all right? And then I would also always put the monomial in front of the binomial in the denominator. Okay, if you don't, I'm not going to mark you wrong. You can multiply in either order here, but it just makes sense. That's how you usually see math. So I would do it that way. Okay. Let's try a harder one. Go ahead and write this down. So I have z plus 3 over z squared plus 5z plus 4 minus 1 over z times z plus 4. Before we start doing a common denominator, you guys, it's really important that we do something to this trinomial. Sam, what do you think we have to do to that trinomial there? Very good. Write that in your notes. You have to factor tractor if you can, all right? Otherwise, you're going to get a big mess. Not fun, all right? So I've got z plus 3. I'm going to rewrite this with the denominator factored. Luckily, this is an easy one with a 1 in front, so I can go straight to my 2 sets of parentheses. Okay, and Kiera, what do you think multiplies to 4, positive 4, and adds to positive 5? Very good. So I have z plus 4 times z plus 1 to factor that. And then I'm going to rewrite what I have here. All right. Now we're going to start getting a common denominator. So, Kaden, what's missing from the first guy that the second guy has? A z plus 1. You want to multiply this first one by z plus 1? Or are you talking about the second one by z plus 1? Yes. The first one needs a z, okay? They both already have a z plus 4, so we don't have to worry about that. We do need, however, a z on this equation. So z over z, and I'm going to add those parentheses to the top. Okay. And Lindsay, what's missing from the second one that the first one has? Very good. A z plus 1 over a z plus 1. Now we can distribute, write it all over our common denominator. There's one thing that is super important that I can't tell you how many times I had to correct students last year. When there is a negative sign here, what do I have to remember? You're distributing a negative 1 there to both terms. So most of the time, people would do it just to the first one. You have to also multiply that negative 1 to the second one. All right, so if there's ever a negative sign, pay extra close attention. You're distributing it through that second fraction. Anyways, so let's distribute here. We've got z squared plus 3z. Over here, we have minus 1z and then minus 1. All over a common denominator, z plus 4, z plus 1. All right, like terms in this one? I'm going to go with yes, okay? So I get z cubed plus 2z minus 1. Okay. So 3z minus z gives me the 2z, and we're good to go. Any questions on that, you guys?